Hi, this is Joel Persinger, the Gun Guy. Thanks for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. I wanted to go over some reasons why someone would want to have an AR-15 with you, because right now with all the anti-gun stuff, people are trying to ban these things, and there's no reason for it. They call them assault weapons and assault rifles, and that's a misnomer. They really are neither. They are semi-automatic civilian firearms. And there's a lot of positives to own one. Now, you might be a person who says, well, I can see owning a handgun, but why would I want to have a rifle like that? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why. So let me list off just a few for you, and then I'm going to go shoot it. And if I think of some more, I'll list some more for you. But I'm going to give you at least 10, and maybe I'll give you some bonus reasons along the way. All right, one reason is that a rifle is far easier to shoot than a handgun. So if you wanted it for self-defense, for example, this sometimes is going to be a better choice for you than a handgun. If you think about it, with a handgun, you only have 2 points of contact with the weapon. You have your strong side hand, your shooting hand, and if you're shooting two hands, you have your support hand, which is up against your shooting hand, and that's the only 2 points of contact you have. Whereas with a rifle, you have 4 points of contact. You have a point of contact with the butt of the rifle, which is up against your shoulder, your cheek, which is up against the cheek weld right here, up against the stock, and then you have your grip with your firing hand, and then you have your grip with your support hand up on the foregrip. So you have 4 points of contact on the rifle. That allows the rifle to be held much more still and sturdy and strong, and you're not going to move it very much. So it's a lot easier to shoot a rifle naturally than it is to shoot a handgun. Handguns take a lot of practice and a lot of training to be able to shoot well. I have students who come and want to learn from me, and I've actually seen people miss targets entirely that are only 3 or 4 or 5 feet away because they jerk the trigger or they're afraid of the recoil or whatever the case might be. They miss. And then they bought the gun for home defense. I'll get them to the point where they're doing pretty well, and I won't see them for 6, 8 months, a year, and they're doing the same thing. They're launching rounds under the target or whatever the case might be because they don't train and they don't practice. Well, with handguns particularly, it's a very perishable skill, and if you don't shoot them well to begin with, you need to get some training, some practice, and get out there and shoot them regularly, like once a month, in order to shoot them well. Rifles, it's a perishable skill, but not nearly so up close and personal, like inside your house or just a few feet away or a few yards away. The other thing that makes them easier to shoot well and accurately is not just the size and the number of points of contact, but also the length of the barrel. The barrel goes from here all the way back to here, so the gun is really long. With a handgun, you have a very short distance, and if you remember your high school geometry, if I have a very short distance, it doesn't take much movement to get that thing off where it needs to be, and now I've missed the target entirely. Whereas a longer device takes a lot more movement, a lot more shift to get it off center and off axis. And so it's a lot easier to hold these on target. If you jerk the trigger on a handgun, chances are you're going to move it enough that you're going to miss the target entirely. On the other hand, if you jerk the trigger on a rifle, with close quarters defensive distances, chances are you're going to hit the target anyway. So it's a lot easier to keep the gun on target even when you're scared and you're full of adrenaline and all those other things. So that's another reason why rifles and long arms in general, shotguns too, can sometimes be easier to shoot well than handguns, and that's a positive for the AR-15 because it's a rifle. Now, we figured out that shooting rifles and shotguns, because they're long guns, are easier to shoot accurately than a handgun for most folks. But let's talk about the AR-15 in particular. As compared to other rifles that might be used for what this is used for, this gun is generally lighter. It has an aluminum receiver, and now with polymer getting better, you can get them with polymer receivers, and they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and those are very, very light. And now you have a very light and handy gun that's lighter than most guns that would be used for comparative purposes, self-defense, hunting, or whatever the case might be. Most folks buy these for self-defense or hunting, one of the two. But if you're using it for self-defense, a light gun, kind of nice if you're a smaller stature person. If you're a big guy like me, I'm 220 pounds and I'm 6'2", so I'm a fairly big guy. The weight doesn't bother me that much. But my wife, on the other hand, likes the smaller, lighter feel and more handy feel of the AR-15 because it's lighter, so that's another plus. The other thing is that it shoots .223 Remington 223 or 5.56 millimeter NATO ammunition, which is very light ammunition. So even when it's fully loaded, it's lighter than some other rifles that I have. So that's a big plus too. Now, there's also the issue of the fact that it is firing ammunition that is very low recoil. So again, if you're a smaller stature person or you're recoil sensitive, my wife has a shotgun. She doesn't like to shoot it very much because she doesn't like the recoil. It hits her in the shoulder pretty hard. She doesn't like it. She'll shoot these things all day long because they don't recoil hardly at all. There's very little recoil coming out of an AR-15 shooting .223 Remington or 5.56 millimeter NATO. It's almost like shooting a .22. I mean, it's more than that, but not a whole lot. So if you're recoil sensitive or you just don't like heavy guns, this is a great choice for you. Let's not forget that even though it doesn't recoil very much, the round that's coming out the other end is known to be a pretty good solid fighting round. After all, our military and militaries around the world have been fighting with it for a long, long time. So if you stoke it with self-defense ammunition or law enforcement type ammunition that you'd use in an urban environment, it's not going to over-penetrate through a whole bunch of walls, but it's going to get the job done if you shoot the evil bad guy who's trying to hurt you. So this is a great tool for that. Now, additionally, maybe you don't train a lot, but maybe you live in a state where you can actually have normal magazines, not the neutered ones we have in California. Well, now you've got 30 rounds or 20 rounds on board. You may not have to reload the gun at all to defend your home or defend your family because it's got a lot of ammunition in it. So it allows you to defend yourself very effectively. So that's another positive when it comes to the AR-15. Now, we've discussed it's easier to shoot rifles than it is handguns, easier to shoot shotguns than it is handguns, and we've discussed the fact that this is lighter than most rifles of its ilk and is certainly less recoil and lighter than a shotgun. Shotgun ammunition is very heavy, shotguns kick like a mule. So these things don't. Very easy for smaller stature folks to shoot and shoot extremely well. Now, there's also the fact that, guess what? This thing's like a Lego. You can swap parts out all you want to. You can change it all you want to. I built this. I mean, this rifle was built for me by a buddy of mine. And he built it exactly the way I wanted it because it fits me. But it might not fit you, might not fit my wife, might not fit my son. So that's easy. All the aftermarket parts you can buy, not only can you fit it to your personal body very easily and very inexpensively, but you can also fit it to your personal preferences. Maybe you don't like this kind of a foregrip. Maybe you don't like this thing on the magazine well. Maybe you don't like a collapsible stock. Maybe you're like my son and you need a real long stock because he's a great big guy. He's 6'6" and big dude, and he's got long arms, so he needs a longer stock than this. There's all kinds of different things you can do. You can change the stock length, you can raise the comb, you can change the whole sight setup. For that matter, if you want to, you got one AR-15 lower, and let's say you want to use it for hunting and self-defense and plinking. Okay, you get yourself a .22 caliber upper, and now you can use it for plinking or hunting small game like rabbits or whatever. You get yourself a .223 upper, and you can set it up for home defense or self-defense like I was discussing. You get yourself a 6.5 Grendel upper. Now you can hunt deer with it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, and you basically bought one rifle. These are the many reasons. These are just a few of the reasons why this is the most popular rifle in the United States. Americans love them for all the reasons I've stated, plus a bunch of other ones. And not because we're all crazy and we want to go out and hurt people. You know what? 99.999% of people who own guns are honest, law-abiding citizens of this country, and they don't want to hurt anybody. They just like shooting, and they'd like to have a way to defend their family. This is a very good way to do it. This is a great tool for that, for all the reasons I've mentioned, plus a bunch more. I mean, never mind the fact that it's extremely popular because how many veterans do you suppose we have? Oh my goodness. We've been at war for a decade. We got a ton of veterans, and what were they trained on? This rifle or this type of platform. Now, arguably, the ones used in the military are indeed assault rifles. They shoot more than one round if you press the trigger. They shoot fully automatic if you want to, and they have select fire. These don't do this. You press the trigger. Every time you press the trigger, it's going to shoot till you run out of ammunition, but it only shoots one round each time you press the trigger. This is the semi-automatic civilian version, and it is called an AR-15. It's not an M16. It's not an M4. It's not a military weapon. It's a civilian rifle, and it can be used for a whole lot of different stuff. So there's just a few reasons why these are great rifles to own, great rifles to have. If you don't have one, I encourage you to go get yourself one. Or if you like, take a couple of classes online if you want to and build one yourself. You can build it exactly the way you want it. And if you don't like the way it turns out, you know what? With a few simple tools, you can swap out things and change it around and make it whatever you want. AR-15s are wonderful rifles for that very reason. No two of them are ever alike because no two of us are ever alike. They're not as scary as they seem, and they're really, really good at just about anything you want to do with them. Anyway, I'll mention some more things if I think of them here in a couple minutes, but in the meantime, I just want to go back out here on this range and shoot this thing a little bit, and I hope you don't mind. Let's go do that. All right, that's enough messing around. Let's take care of the important stuff, like shooting tin cans. Oh my goodness, turned that thing completely inside out. Now I shot one and blew it to smithereens, but unfortunately it knocked the other one off, so we put it back up there for you, and let's see what happens to that one. All right, we've got some cans on the other side, and we moved them a little farther apart. That was my diabolical plan to see if maybe I can shoot the right one without blowing the left one completely off the log. Here we go. Oh, rats! All right, we'll put it back up for you. All right, that bad boy's back up there again, and it's back down again. Ha 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 ha! So there is the AR15, lots of fun to shoot. There were some things I forgot to mention before. You know, as I was trying to give you like the top 10 reasons or more that you might like to own an AR15. There's some I didn't mention. Outstanding gun to hunt with because again, you can swap the uppers out and there's many different calibers you can use. And when you take the upper off, all the sighting system that you've set up for the upper stays with it. So if you've got a scope on there for hunting, you take that upper off, the scope is dialed in, it's not going to change. You put it back on, it's going to be accurate again. You've got one with iron sights like this, you put it back on, the sights are set up, they're not going to change. And that's one of the beautiful things about having this kind of modular rifle that you can swap around and use for many purposes. AR-15s can be ridiculously accurate if that's how you set them up. So if you want to hunt, you want to reach way out there, you can do it with an AR. They are extremely accurate. They're also really easy to fix because since there are millions and millions and millions of them, and just about every manufacturer of guns anywhere makes AR-15s and parts for them, if you ever want parts, they're easy to get. If you ever want to change a rifle, it's easy to get. If you ever want to fix it, it's modular. So just a couple YouTube videos or a simple class you can take online or something, and you can learn how to fix your own rifle. That's pretty cool. So it doesn't take a gunsmith to do it. I mean, it's always nice to have one, but you don't have to do it that way if you don't want to for most things. A couple tools you can buy from an online retailer, and you can fix your own rifle if you want to. So there's just a host of reasons why people love this particular platform of rifle. And I understand. I like them a lot too. That's why I have one. So if you're interested in them, or if you're thinking that they should be banned, maybe now this helps you understand why they really shouldn't be. They're used for a lot of purposes by honest, law-abiding citizens who have no intention of ever harming anyone. And that's the majority of folks that have these. They're great rifles, fun rifles to shoot, and just in general, a joy to have around. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my videos. I really deeply appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. I think it's over there, but if it isn't, it'll be over there. And if you wouldn't mind, share us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all those other places. Come on out here to the P2K Range if you get a chance and say hi. I was running into some folks this morning. I'm here a lot. I teach here. This is, as far as I know, the largest indoor shooting range on the West Coast. We got a 100-yard range here for indoor rifle. We got a pistol range, got a training range I'm on right now for law enforcement and security contractors and crazy guys like me. Shotgun range for shooting clays. It's just a great place to shoot. If you come on out, look for me, say hi. Maybe we could chat for a little bit. If I'm not teaching a class or something, maybe we could shoot together. Have a great week. Be safe, and thanks very much for watching.